Brahmacharya in Eastern philosophy means conduct consistent with Brahman, or the path of Brahman. In Yoga, Hinduism and Buddhism, it generally refers to a lifestyle characterized by sexual continence or abstinence. Brahmacharya is somewhat different from the English term celibacy, which merely means non-indulgence in sexual activity. Brahmacharya is when a person completely controls his body, mind, chitta through ascetic means. Brahmacharya is the first four ashrama of human life, with Grihastha householder, Vanaprastha forest dweller, and Sannyasa renunciate being the other three ashrams. The Brahmacharya stage of life from childhood up to 25 years of age was focused on education and included the practice of celibacy. It also denotes chastity during the student stage of life for the purpose of learning from a guru, and during later stages of life for the purpose of attaining spiritual liberation, that is also known as moksha. In Hindu, Jain and Buddhist monastic traditions, Brahmacharya implies, among other things, the mandatory renunciation of sex and marriage. It is considered necessary for a monk's spiritual practice. The Western notions of the religious life as practiced in monastic settings mirror these characteristics. Now we are gonna understand the term Brahmacharya. Brahman means ultimate unchanging reality, that is the absolute consciousness, and is much discussed in our Vedas and Upanishads, but it not to be confused with the Brahma. Brahma means the Vedic god of creation. Now comes Charya, means occupation with engaging, proceeding, behavior, conduct, to follow. This is often translated as activity, conduct, or mode of behavior. Therefore, the literal meaning of Brahmacharya means code consistent with the Brahman, or in the path of the Brahman. The path of divine is for everyone. Therefore, everyone has the right to follow the path of divinity. Brahmacharya does not just mean celibacy. This is just one of the aspects that have been taken up as a supportive system. That means you can still be married and can be in Brahmacharya. It is possible because you are joyful by your own nature. You are not trying to extract joy from your husband or your wife. This is how it should be. The whole world should be Brahmacharya. Everyone should be joyful by their own nature. If two people come together, it should be a sharing of joy, not extraction of joy from each other. There is a saying in our scriptures, Rasat Raktam Tato Mamsam Mamsameda Prajayate Medo Sosti Tato Majja Majjaya Sukrasam Baba. From food comes juice, a child, from child blood, from blood flesh, from flesh fat, from fat bones, from bones marrow, and lastly from marrow semen. Semen is the quintessence of food of blood. One drop of semen is manufactured out of 40 drops of blood according to the medical science, and according to Ayurveda it is elaborated out of 80 drops of blood. Just as sugar is all pervading in the sugar cane, butter in milk, so also semen is pervading the whole body. Just as the buttermilk is thin after butter is removed, so also the semen is thinned by its wastage. The more the wastage of semen, the more is the weakness. In Yoga Shastras, it is said that Maranam Bindu Patanat, Jivanam Bindu Rakshanat. falling of semen brings death, and the preservation of semen gives life. Semen is the real vitality in men. It is the hidden treasure for men. It imparts Brahma tejas to the face and strength to the intellect. Our scripture, Bhagavad Gita, tells that Nayam Atma Balahina Lavayat. Atman is not attained by a weak man. Just as the oil comes in a wick, burns with glowing light, so also the virya or semen floats up by the practice of yoga sadhana and is converted into tejas or ojas. The Brahmachari shines with Brahmic aura in his place. Brahmacharya is the bright light that shines in the house of human body. It is fully blossomed flower of life, around which the beads of strength, patience, knowledge and purity and pity wander about, humming hither and thither. In other words, you observe Brahmacharya will be endowed with the abode qualities. Scriptures declared that by the practice of Brahmacharya, longevity, glory, strength, vigor, knowledge, wealth, undying fame, virtues and devotion to truth increases. And aspirants should always try to get discrimination between the real self and the unreal or impure body. An aspirant should hammer the mind and point out the defects of sexual life, that is the loss of energy, innovation of senses, disease, birth and death, attachment and various sorts of miseries. The parts of the body of woman, flesh, blood, bone, excrete, urine, pus, phlegm, etc. He should always think of the ever pure immortal Atman and the glory of the spiritual life, that is the attainment of immortality, eternal bliss, supreme peace. Gradually the mind will be weaned from looking at a woman, however beautiful she might be. The mind will shudder to look at her with evil thought. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita tells that sensuality destroys life, lustre, strength, vitality, memory, wealth, great fame, holiness, and devotion to the Supreme. Shiva Samhita tells that death is hastened by letting out semen from the body. Life is saved and prolonged by preserving it. There is no doubt that people die prematurely by letting the semen out of the body. Knowing this, the yogi should always preserve semen and lead a life of strict celibacy. Chandogya Upanishad tells that all those students who find that world of God through chastity, there is that heavenly country. Theirs, in whatever world are they, is freedom. Lord Shankara tells about Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is the best of all penances. A celibate of such a spotless chastity is not a human being, but a god indeed. The celibate who conserves the semen with great efforts, what is there unattainable in this world? By the power of the composer of the semen, one will become just like myself. The Mahabharata tells about Brahmacharya. Know that in this world there is nothing that cannot be attained by one who remains from birth to death a perfect Brahmachari. In one person, knowledge of the four Vedas, and in another, perfect celibacy of these. The latter is superior to the former, who is wanting in celibacy. Yajnavalkya tells about Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is abstaining from all kinds of maithuna or sexual enjoyment forever, in all places and in all conditions, physically, mentally and verbally.